Welcome, everyone. Hello. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Welcome to our event. Our event today is called How AI, ChatGPT, and Modern Tech Have Disrupted the Landscape of Higher Education. And we are fortunate to have Nick Mattar as our presenter today. My name is Paul Cotter. I am the Director of Product Marketing for Higher Education here at Stukent, and I'm so thrilled to be here with you today. Go ahead, use the chat feature, tell us where you're from, say hi, tell us which course you're teaching. We want to hear from you today. As we begin, I do want to encourage you to use the chat feature. You'll find it on the right-hand side of your screen. You can also use the chat to submit any questions that you have for Nick, our presenter, or for Stukent. And at the end of today's event, we will hold a Q&A session. So just go ahead at any time, enter those questions in. We have a team standing by who will log them and will answer them at the end. Now, this goes without saying, but please be respectful and polite when commenting today. AI, technology, ChatGPT, it can be a passionate subject, and we just want to show the utmost respect to our presenter today and to our entire team involved. So thank you for being kind in the chats. Additionally, I want to involve you in a couple of poll questions today. So I'm going to start with our first poll question. So it's about St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick actually didn't wear green. What was the original color associated with St. Patrick? So you should see a poll that's popped up on your screen. Was it orange, red, white, blue, purple? Go ahead and submit your answer. Let us know what you think. I'll give you a couple of seconds to do that before I reveal the answer. Looks like a lot of people are choosing white, a lot of orange. Okay. Looks like 65% of the audience has responded, 70%. Okay, we're going, good job. All right, I'm going to give the answer. The answer is blue. So the color green became associated with St. Patrick's Day in the 18th century after Irish independence. So thank you for participating in that poll. Welcome to everyone. It's so great to see you on here. Sonia from Alabama, Brian from Randall University, welcome. Dr. Carla Wright from Pikes Peak State College, business faculty teaching business comms and business management. Welcome. Thank you everyone so much for joining us today. We're so happy to have you here. So there's one more poll that I'd like to do before we get started. I know we have a lot of different attendees today. And so in order to help direct this discussion today, please answer this poll question and let us know if you're an instructor, if you're a student, or if you're an industry professional. So go ahead and do that. And while you're doing that, I just want to let you know a little bit about Stukent. Over the last decade, Stukent has developed more than 30 courseware and simulations in the fields of marketing, business, communications, and now for accounting. And we're not stopping there. We promise to continue to innovate and develop products in new subjects and categories. Our mission is to help you as educators help your students help the world. And besides doing that through events like today, we do that by developing robust, first-in-the-world resources that reduce your preparation time as a teacher and help you bring high-quality educational experiences to your students into your classroom. But let's get back to today. We have a great discussion planned for you. And to kick things off, I'd like to introduce Stukent's CEO and founder, Stuart Draper. He has a few thoughts to share with us.
At Stukent, we're on a mission to help educators help students help the world. We do that by developing first-in-the-world simulations and up-to-date courseware to help you create impactful, hands-on learning experiences for your students. Today, we're going to take a look at some of the amazing resources our team has built for the courses that you teach. We've spent months creating these materials with our authors and our subject matter experts, working to build the best possible materials for you. But you know what? At Stukent, we're never quite finished with the resources we release. They're ready for use in your classroom, yes, but we're always working to make them better. We strive to keep our materials current with what's happening in your industry today, which means we update them annually and take the work of keeping your course current. If there's something you don't like about our materials, or if there's something you think we can improve upon, please let us know. We're here for you. Consider us your custom simulation and coursework provider. If we don't make it just the way you need it, we'll keep working on it to make it better. Semester after semester, we aim to bring you the best simulations and courseware in the industry, and we're not going anywhere. Over the last decade, we've been featured on the Inc. 5000 list 5 times. We've helped nearly 750,000 students at schools all over the country, and we can't wait to help you and your students next. Throughout the event, feel free to chat in any questions you may have. The Stukent team will be standing by to help you. Thank you for joining us today. I can't wait to show you what our team has built to help you help students help the world. Enjoy the show.
All right. As Stuart pointed out, innovation is at the forefront of Stukent and what we do. And as part of today's event, we have some assignments that you can use in your marketing, business, and comms courses on AI and ChatGPT. Some of these courses include marketing management, business communications, public speaking, marketing analytics, logistics, and transportation. So go ahead and click on the link that just popped up on your screen, and it'll direct you to a page where you can download any of these assignments that you're interested in. Now, just so that you know, the majority of our participants of you watching today are instructors. So we're happy to have you on today. We welcome you, and we're excited for this discussion. Now, in an effort, I want to let you know that one of Stukent's core values is that we want to stay current. And so in an effort to help keep you as an instructor at the forefront of industry trends and topics, some of our courseware this fall will be updated to include special sections on AI and even ChatGPT. Some of these courseware include content marketing by Nick Mattar, marketing management by Terry Sullivan, logistics and transportation management by Vicki Clark and Brad Gatlin, and integrated marketing communications by Dr. Diane Law. Now there's more than that, but that's just a sneak peek. So now I want to introduce you to our presenter today, Nick Mattar. Nick is the author of Stukent's content marketing courseware and Simternship. Nick has worked in content marketing since he was in high school, experimenting with his MySpace profile. He teaches digital marketing at multiple universities across the United States and is the founder of Digital Detroit, a digital marketing training company based in Michigan. He received his MBA from Wayne State University in Detroit and his bachelor's degree in English and communications from the University of Michigan. He lives in Southeast Michigan with his wife and 2 sons. Nick enjoys watching and playing basketball, blogging about digital marketing, and reading classic literature. And we have a link here if you'd like to connect with Nick. Now, as I mentioned before, Nick is the author of Stukent's content marketing courseware, and it's called Content Marketing Strategies, Planning, Creating, and Distributing Content. And before I turn the time over to Nick, I want to just show you a quick short video about his courseware.
Content marketing. It's a critical skill for marketers in today's digital age. Over 80% of marketers report actively using content marketing to help generate leads, move customers through the marketing funnel, and more. Content Marketing Strategies, Planning, Creating, and Distributing Content by Nick Mattar is designed to give students the content marketing skills they need to perform in today's marketing world. It addresses a wide variety of business needs, including B2B and B2C marketing, and includes more than 200 examples of videos, podcasts, blogs, webinars, and more. Plus, you'll get all the resources you need to provide an engaging learning experience, including a syllabus, course schedule, lesson plans, lecture slides, assignments, quizzes, and more. And for the ultimate content marketing experience, pair the courseware with its companion simulation, Mimic Content Marketing. When bundled together, students get 25 opportunities to create new, unique content and also receive individualized feedback. Give your students the skills they need to succeed as marketers.
Okay, so as a special gift to everyone attending today, we want to offer you free instructor access to Nick's content marketing courseware. So with instructor access, you will be able to preview the entire courseware and the simulation, including the lesson plans, assignments, lecture slides, and so much more. So go ahead and click on the link that's on the screen right now, and you can get started with that process. So right now, I'm really excited to welcome to the stage Nick Mattar. Nick, I'm going to turn the time over to you, and I'll get back on when you're finished, and we'll do the Q&A, okay?
Thank you so much for the introduction, and yeah, it's great to be here with everybody this morning or afternoon. Apparently, we have people from all over the world, and yeah, welcome everybody. Hopefully, you were able to take a couple minutes out of your St. Patty's Day here, and before the second day of the NCAA tournament begins. It's great to see so many individuals that are here with us today. And I'm going to be talking about AI, ChatGPT, modern technology in general. And really, it's an interesting topic that has only really come to the forefront of the world here in the past 6 months or so. And, you know, we'll start, I don't know if the Stukent team is going to share the slides or if I should. Yeah, here we go. But yeah, so I'm going to take a couple of minutes here to go over, you know, history of ChatGPT and some AI background. We'll go into how instructors can use it, how students use it, and then also we'll be looking at the kind of content marketing usage of it as well. So first off, I just want to quickly talk about the rise of artificial intelligence and kind of where we are today. You know, AI has been around for a long time. I think the very first iteration that I could find technically goes back to the 1960s. It's been around for a while. And honestly, just in the past couple of years, kind of came to the forefront of society. ChatGPT was released in November of 2022. And when I say released, it had been around. Based on what you read, it was an older piece of tech that OpenAI was working on, and kind of relaunched it and kind of pivoted. You know, whatever the story may be, the fact of the matter is it became wildly popular over the course of the last 45 days or so of 2022. And really, if you think about how it's grown and how it's been used, you may or may not be able to see these numbers here. But ChatGPT amassed, I believe, 30 million users, and that took Instagram almost a year to do. Whereas with ChatGPT, it took 2 months. And if you look at the user graph here, you know, the lower line is how Instagram grew in usage, and the blue line is the increase in usage of ChatGPT. This was not done by this exquisite advertising campaign, and it was not, you know, done through like one billion follower influencer posting a couple things. It was really a mix of organic growth, word of mouth, and pretty much everything that viral videos and viral content is made of. That has been ChatGPT and the rise of these other AI programs that we see out here today. And really, if you think about it, it's gone from not only being applied by us in an everyday everyday usage scenario, but also in business. And in business is where I have really kind of been focusing my studies, I guess, or survey of artificial intelligence. And it's been very interesting to see the different use cases. But not only the use cases right now, but then what is it going to be able to do as time goes on? I'll mention that I'll talk about this a little bit later, but I think we're barely scratching the surface of AI and what it can do for us, as we've just seen this past week. There's been a new version of ChatGPT that I believe is only available to the premium users at the moment. They call it GPT-4, and early returns are showing some pretty wild new things that it can do. So we think about here, looking forward, where is AI going to be, but also think about where we are today. If you go to futurepedia.io, that is, I don't know if it's the authority, but there is a pretty big list, nice database of AI programs that are out there. When I pulled this screenshot, there were about 1,298 programs. I looked this morning and there were about 1,350. So a nice growth of about 50 programs that have been added in less than a week. And this is a program that's this is a aggregator that has all sorts of programs added to it every single day. And the fact that you're seeing about 50 per week really shows the wild west that we're in of AI right now, and all these different things, all these different opportunities that are available to both us as users of it, as businesses, as entrepreneurs, but then also for students and for instructors. So the poll question that I would like to posit here at the beginning is, have you used AI? And I didn't say ChatGPT here because I'm curious if you've used any AI platform. ChatGPT, of course, is the most popular, but I would say that there's others that are gaining momentum as well. ChatGPT not only gave rise to a bunch of publicly traded AI companies earlier in the year, but in terms of like their stock price, but also has really kind of risen the water level for all of AI programs as they're finding more users. They're getting, they're driving more revenue with these premium accounts. And it's been interesting to see just now how many Google ads are out there. I mean, most of us here are instructors from what I've seen. A lot of people are probably marketing instructors. So I think, you are all familiar with not just Google advertising, but the fact that the rise in the number of ads that you see on AI-based keywords has really skyrocketed over the last 4 to 6 months. And part of that is probably because the organic searching has increased, of course. Google Trends are going to show a lot of growth in AI-related terms, but then also it's more of an understanding of what AI is there for. 20 years ago, if you heard the term artificial intelligence, you think of robots. I probably would have thought of the movie I, Robot with Will Smith. And now I think of AI and I think of the ChatGPT interface. And I think of logging in there and asking it some questions and trying to glean some new information or resources from it. And while people are, and just looking at the poll results, it's interesting how we're at about a 60-40 yes versus no on using AI. So that is really, really interesting to see. But again, a lot of it, I think we all know what it is. That's what you're all here for, where you've heard about it, but then how to apply it. And so that's where I come with AI in the classroom. It's interesting. I started looking at headlines about, okay, I've heard the downside. I've heard places that have banned it. I don't really know how you can truly ban the certain sites on the internet. But also, what about those who are embracing it? And the first big place to make waves was New York City, I believe it was, banned the use of ChatGPT on computers that were in the district itself. Like if you're at school, you're a high school student, you go to the library, you log on, you can't get to ChatGPT. By that same token, this was in January or I believe it was December. So this is when there was a little bit more uncertainty about what was going on. I remember as an instructor myself, I got my very first question about AI and ChatGPT in December, right around finals time. And I had no idea how to answer it. I was like, well, some people don't, school districts, high schools don't seem to like it. I think the jury's still out on universities and colleges. But I didn't really have a good answer. And then over time, I started thinking about it a little bit more. And I started to be more on the side of embracing artificial intelligence and all the programs that come with it. And this article here, like, I was going to pull articles from individual districts. I decided not to do that because there are numerous different ways that people are, numerous different districts and universities, places that are taking very different stances on this. And it's really wild to see how it even gets down granularly to the instructor level. But I do believe that most of us kind of live in this world here on this slide, which is there's both challenges and opportunities. And we'll talk about those here shortly, but it is interesting how we went from it being very bad, very negative, where everybody just kind of looked at it as not good up front, to then being like, oh, actually, this is really good. And now people kind of see it both ways. And so I'm going to share some of my experiences that I've had over the last couple of months with ChatGPT, with AI, talking to students, talking to other instructors, and then doing as much research as I possibly could online, because I just wanted to consume as much as possible about this emerging technology. And I believe it's going to be an emerging industry overall. But having said that, I'm also interested in your thoughts on all of this. Specifically, what is your opinion of AI in the classroom? Are you against it? Are you for it? Are you indifferent? I'm very curious just to see what the kind of the general school of thought is here. And the poll options are pretty interesting. But it's very very interesting just to know how the general public feels, because I use social media a lot to consume a lot of this AI content, and a lot of times AI or social media just kind of becomes an echo chamber, and I kind of just see what I want to read, or I read what I want to read, what I want to see. So it's good to see what kind of responses we get here, and we're getting some very interesting early returns here on the poll that I can that I'll mention here in a little bit. But oh, wow. Look at this. It's about 50% people are fine with it. About 50% at least some sort of apprehension with it. But let's talk about AI in the workforce really quick. That poll is still up. I kind of go back and forth here between the classroom and the professional side, because on one hand, instructors, this is our workforce. But then on the other hand, I am an entrepreneur. I am a small business owner. And it's also important that I think we are teaching a very, very entrepreneurial generation. And so for students that are in a digital marketing course, like the couple that I teach, or if you are teaching any sort of digital or online marketing course, AI needs to really be thought of from the lens of an entrepreneur, because as an entrepreneur in your early 20s, late teens, late 20s, anytime, chances are you're going to be strapped for time and resources and money. And if there's one thing that people are looking to AI for today, it's really to save and account for all of those things. I follow a lot of different accounts on social media, like I mentioned, with AI. And I grabbed just a couple here. To me, I just wanted to show these because it's really stunning how much content is out there to be consumed about how AI can be used in a business sense. I'm only going to share kind of my experiences here and what I've seen. But I encourage you to check out Instagram, go to LinkedIn, Facebook, any single social network, or just do a quick Google search, and you're going to see there are numerous, countless ways that people have used different AI programs to meet their goals for whatever it is that they're trying to do for their business. Now, I will say most AI demonstrations are provided for these small businesses and entrepreneurs, but there is that enterprise, like larger business level of usage that's available. But it's interesting because with all the advantages that are out there for AI, people seem to believe that these tools can really help them launch a business or improve a side hustle. And for me, my small business is it's growing a little bit. I don't have much in the way of employees or anything, but I do try to put out content. I am the author of content marketing, and so I am trying to practice what I preach. But I, like everybody else, don't really have a ton of time to to spend hours writing a blog, to spend too much time creating a video, or even really creating a ton of social media content as it is. And so I look at AI as a way to really help save some time. Now, when you think about AI in the classroom, this can be a little bit different. Same basic principles are applying, but I'm just going to share 3 examples here with you where instructors can use AI pretty much immediately to not come up with tons of new, not do your job for you, but help you provide content to students either a little bit more quickly, cheaper, or really just give them some accessible options. And the first thing I like to go to are explainer videos. I worked with a small business as a consultant about 6 or 7 years ago, and they had a very complex product, like business, the way that they worked. And I had offered the idea of an explainer video, and they used it, and it ended up being wildly successful. The problem is the process to get from ideation to a finished product was extremely painful. It was expensive. It required about 10 different revisions. And while the final product was a huge success and it really helped educate the customers, at the same time, the process of creating the video was extremely time consuming. Since then, I have started experimenting myself. There are some explainer video AI programs. The one that you see in this little image here is actually called Steve AI, I think. And that's one where it'll create an explainer video for you if you provided a script, and it'll do it almost instantly. I did run one test and it worked pretty well. I needed to make a couple of updates. But they offer you all sorts of options when it comes time to create the content. They'll give you options in terms of what kind of animation is it, what kind of voice is it. They'll even give you an accent option, and I chose American accent because that's where I am and that's where my customers are. But also it takes a couple of edits. You can go back and you make updates and adjustments to the various elements of the video. But back in 2017, when I created I didn't create this myself, but when I was involved, I mean, this is a 4-figure project that would take about 60 days to do from start to finish. I did my explainer video in about 3 days. And I only had about 45 minutes to spend per day on it. But then also, there was no cost. It was part of the free account that they had. Most AI programs have at least a free trial where you can try some things out, make sure that they work. I was on the free plan for this one and was able to get something up and running pretty quickly. Now, I didn't use it for my classes because I really just did it so that I could talk about it here. But it's quite clear that there are easy applications where if there's a concept that I find challenging or otherwise confusing for students, or it's clear that students aren't really getting something, I can go to something like an explainer video to make it a little bit simpler, where when I know the written word is not going to be enough, something like an explainer video where they can see visual elements of it come to life, that is where instructors can really get ahead and help students. Now, the second one I wanted to talk about is changing gears a little bit to lesson plans. I've used ChatGPT for a lesson plan, and I was stunned at how good it was. I'm very skeptical when it comes to ChatGPT giving me the level of expertise that I require when it comes to teaching students. I mean, I have an MBA course that I teach. I have undergrad courses that I teach, and most of my students I would say are pretty adept at digital marketing concepts and strategies. Like, they know what they're doing. And so that does put me in a position where I need to make sure that I am teaching them something new, that there's something, more advanced. And ChatGPT is very good at the basics, very good. If you asked it to churn out a 4th grade reading assignment, like lesson plan, it'll churn that out for you. It'll be great. It'll be very strong. But for something here, like when I talked about SEO for a 12th grade class, I wasn't expecting much, and actually it did pretty well. It'll get you about 75% of the way there. You're going to have to make some updates yourself, and it does get repetitive after a while. but I'm amazed at how much time it saved me. When I was writing the lesson plans for the content marketing courseware, I would, knowing I already had a chapter written, I already had slides done. It still probably took me a good hour to write each chapter's lesson plan to accompany it. Today, if I were to plug all of that into ChatGPT or to another program, it might take 5 minutes. Again, it's only getting me 3/4 of the way there, so I'm probably going to have to spend a good, 10 or 15 minutes making updates, but I'm saving a ton of time. And if you're doing this multiple times, I mean, it's not just 1 hour that you're going to be saving. I would say it probably saves you about a half hour. It saves me about a half hour per lesson plan. But if you extrapolate that to an entire semester, you're going to save a ton of time. Then finally, I did want to talk videos. Videos are very common. I think most of us that teach in an online format have videos in some form or another. And for me, the Zoom auto-generated videos simply do not cut it. I need something a little more. Zoom still doesn't know my name. Zoom still doesn't know many of the acronyms that I use. And while I can use a program like rev.com, which is great, why not just throw it into an AI generator here? AIs will, but also AI takes a little bit further. Captions are, first off, just to take a step back, they help with accessibility. They allow for students to more easily digest and then read some of the content that you're putting out there in video form. But also they'll translate now. AI will translate for you into a number of different languages. That may not be that may not be necessary for all of us here, but if you're in a situation where you have a population of students who speak another language, and you can help their experience by providing them something that's translated, why not? It's just going to give more students more options to consume your content. And actually, the thing I didn't include in the slide is that you can get transcripts out of this as well. Transcripts to me are actually extremely important because and I believe I'll talk about this in the content marketing section, but that allows you to turn a video into a blog post. And from a class perspective, and a teaching perspective, that again is giving it's giving students more options to consume the content that you are creating for them. And if there's one thing I've learned over the last, 8 years of teaching digital marketing, it's that giving students more options to consume content and to learn is going to be infinitely better than if you just pigeonhole one single thing. Putting out a 45-minute lecture video and nothing else is probably going to be a challenge for everybody to watch. I remember from when I was getting my MBA 10 years ago, if I saw an hour-long lecture video, I'm probably not going to watch the whole thing. I might, if I even watch it at all. But if you have shorter digestible videos or you have a transcript available to the students, that's going to make it much easier for them to come around and actually consume the content that you are spending all of your hard time creating and hoping that they will consume so that they can succeed. I did want to also mention one point here on ethics and biases. All of this AI stuff is great when we talk about translations and transcripts and being able to generate a lesson plan and explainer video as well. But it's still created by people, and people still have these implicit, these latent biases that exist. And there's a lot of different ones that exist in all sorts of programs. If you look it up, you can see them for yourself. I am not the best person to speak on, there being AI biases against me. That's because I think most people that have worked on these programs are probably people that are kind of like myself. But I am very aware that these biases exist, and I try to make sure that I'm reviewing all of this content, and that content is not being created to excluding any groups. The example that I see most often is the male-female usage. AI referring to all of the people that they talk about in a male form and a he/him form. But there's other biases that exist as well. Now that AI image generators exist too, if you have it create somebody for you, you might, you won't be surprised by kind of what it's generating for you on a regular basis. So it's going to be interesting to see how the image generation element evolves over time, because it's something that is right now it's meant to be really benign, but as time goes on, and we also think about can we use just the straight AI content in a classroom and call it our own. The way I see it, and the way I'll mention this here in a couple of slides, is I think you always have to make some sort of updates and edits to truly make AI content your own, so that you can make sure that those biases are not being put out there, that you can account for those and remove them as well as you can, but also then to make it more of your own content. There's a lot of back and forth on, is it ethical to use AI generated content for yourself and say, yes, this is my thought leadership piece. That's not the conversation that I'm really getting into today. I'm trying to show it more from a time-saving, resource-saving perspective, because I do believe that when it's all said and done, the amount of time that you put into editing this content and these prompts, it will be your own content. The issue with the ethical side is if you take something straight off of the platform, call it your own, and call it a day. But now the good part. How are students using AI? That is the question. So I dropped one of my prompts from one of my courses, a discussion piece, right into the top of the prompt here. And the response, I honestly went into this thinking, all right, ChatGPT is going to give me some crap. It's not going to be any good. And I'm going to talk about over the next couple slides how students have to reform and re-edit their responses. Unfortunately, I found that it gave me a very good answer. And I don't think a student could turn this in verbatim and get full points, but they could get pretty close. And so what I have started doing as a result now is adding in opinion piece. Adding in the opinion piece so that students are now sharing their perspectives on this and not just taking what ChatGPT gives them. Now, to be fair, I will say this wouldn't get full points because part of the question really honed in on number 5. You probably can't read this, but this is about how to capitalize on a podcast episode that goes viral. And ChatGPT gave me some good answers. Maybe it took them right from the content marketing courseware. I'm not sure. But really, I was looking for more of just number 5 and how you can monetize a podcast. So, in a perfect world, a student is going in, adding another prompt like, hey, can you go into more detail on number 5? How do you monetize a podcast? Things like that. And then they could kind of mush them all together and turn them in for what could feasibly be full credit. So how do you keep that from happening? Students probably they should know that they're not going to get full credit from the first response that ChatGPT gives them. And you want to be able to provide them prompts, like assignments, that are going to require multiple prompts. Because as students use more and more prompts to get a response that they're more and more happy with to turn in and get full points, the more they're learning. So I don't see what the problem is with using AI or ChatGPT. I did have, and I didn't put this one in here, I do have a longer assignment that I use in my class that is specifically geared towards social media and a specific campaign. And the way that I do it is I continuously am adding in opinionated questions, and then I'm also adding 2-part questions. Because as you've probably seen, ChatGPT responds to prompts one level at a time. So if I were to say, okay, if I go back to the podcasting example, the 2-part question would be, okay, 1, how would you capitalize on this? 2, how would you then monetize? How would you monetize your podcast, the work that you've done to capitalize on it? By giving it a 2-part question, by making your assignments a 2-parter, it makes it a lot harder for ChatGPT to immediately respond, and it then requires students to then go in and to add in more prompts. Additionally, ChatGPT is probably not going to give them the best answer immediately, because when you give it multiple variables like this, it'll try to answer it, but that is where the AI tends to get in trouble, at least right now. This may be completely moot point in 30 days. It may have a whole new, with the rate that AI is growing, that may no longer be the case. But for now, I think at least as we go through the end of this current winter, spring, whatever semester you're in, having two-parters in your discussion questions and any sort of assignments are going to require students to think about the concepts a little bit deeper. And if they are going to use AI to provide the responses for them, they're going to need to utilize multiple prompts, and they're going to end up learning more out of this anyways. Now, just the last couple of slides on content marketing. I'm going to go through these decently quick. First off, you have content marketing, and one of the pillars is repurposing content. You saw in the earlier slides with how instructors can use it. Repurposing content is really easy with AI. Stuff that I used to spend hours on can now be done in a matter of minutes. And I look at AI, though, when it comes to content, as really being should be used for creating content that you can't create yourself. For me, it's like this comic strip here. I actually used when I presented at ProfCon a couple years ago. I was presenting about the book and about the courseware and the sim. And it was just like, I was just trying to show a different type of visual content. The outcome, though, was I spent way too long creating this. I spent, I don't know, an hour on it. It wasn't that hard. It was easy for me to do, but it took me a long time from ideation to completion. However, you could go in here, use an AI program, and generate something very similar in about 5 minutes. And for me, that type of time saving is invaluable, because I can do that multiple times again. And as that scales, as your time scales and you use more AI to create the content that you can't do already, the better off you're going to be. Really, the challenge is in the copywriting. But the copywriting is any sort of writing and blogging, for me at least, is a strength. So I wouldn't use AI for that. Now, this is a list of types of content, like ways that you can repurpose content. There's 30 things here. I first created this about a year ago. I presented to an entrepreneurial organization and showed them how repurposing content can lead you to 30 different types of content. AI can't do all of these yet. AI can't attend an event for you, although you might be able to tell it to, hey, say you attended an event, ChatGPT, what happened? You might be able to get some responses. But to be honest, ChatGPT or a lot of AI programs can do about 90% of these. If you look through these, you think about, other than maybe original research or host a webinar like I'm doing right now, or host an event, those in-person things, chances are ChatGPT or the other AI programs that are out there, some sort of AI program can do most of these. The really interpersonal ones, probably not. And are you going to have to edit them and make them your own and make them more personalized? Absolutely. But the amount of time that you can save in the repurposing process is enormous. I've already saved countless hours myself. I did not use AI in the creating of this presentation because I used it really for like the research piece of it, but I probably could have and saved some time as well. Finally, we have content creation. The process of creating content, I mean, I talked about this before. For me, as much as I love it, I just don't have the time, and it's not the top priority for me. And it hasn't taken over really this critical digital marketing element because, again, it can create these things for you, but chances are you've already created something and you're just having it repurpose it. As a result, though, you're better off using AI to just get those creative juices flowing. How can you use AI to create content? I think the question is, how can you get AI to get you thinking about what kind of content you should be doing? Use AI prompts. Ask for prompts back. Ask for prompts about content. Ask them for types. That's really where AI is most successful, is giving you a starting point that you can run with and create more of yourself. Obviously, in the repurposing content, that is different. But if you take a step back and you're in the very beginning stages, it's going to take you a little bit of time to really get your creativity going. And we've all been there. We've sat at our computer and just been like, I don't know where to start. At least AI can get that, essentially kickstart the mental process for you. Now, just a couple final words. Last two slides. I now am writing assignments that are specific, as I mentioned before, and they require opinions. And that is really based on the fact that I am embracing artificial intelligence here. You know, starting next semester, I'm going to be adding an entire section to my syllabus for all my courses with my philosophy to this, because I've gotten a lot of questions for it. And I also want students to know that I am embracing this. As a digital marketing instructor, I do want students to be familiar with these products and with the AI landscape, because if you think, I mean, I am working in a field, we all are working right now in digital marketing that didn't exist 20 years ago. Email existed. Social media, maybe. I mean, MySpace was around. That's where I was. But it wasn't used as such. Like, there are entire companies that just do social media for business. That wasn't a thing 20 years ago. Where are we going to be in 20 years from now? Really, I consider AI to be an industry of the future, where I think AI is going to give rise to new businesses that are helping businesses use these technologies. Because if you think about a business that is going to be, you know, they might outsource content for $100,000, a larger business. Why not just bring in a consulting company that can do it for $10,000 and get you using and teaching you how to use these prompts? Because 10 years from now, AI might be able to create all that content for you. But you still, as a business, are going to need to be able to do it yourself. You're going to need to be able to deliver those prompts. I look at AI right now as social media was about 18 years ago, in that it's in its infancy. Everybody knows what it is. Everybody's using it. We're trying to apply it to business, and we're seeing a much quicker runway now than we were last time. But honestly, it's a very iterative technology. It's a growing industry. And I do think it's something that everybody needs to embrace, because as we are preparing our students for the future, for these careers, they need to be ready to not only embrace these technologies, but be able to utilize them on a whim, because it's going to be happening extremely quickly. And so for me, you know, my goal is to prepare students for their careers. And what better way than to make sure that they know how to use the technologies that will be playing a major role in the future of our society. And that is that wraps up the slides, Paul.
Excellent. Thank you, Nick. This has been an amazing presentation with lots of great insights. The chat has been active the entire time, lots of commenting going on. I just want to remind everyone right now, we're going to do a Q&A. We have gathered your questions, but if you have questions, go ahead and enter them in right now. We'll get to as many as we can before we finish. I just want to remind you once again, if you would like the free instructor access to Nick's content marketing courseware, go ahead and click on the link that's on the page here, and you can have access to that. I want to start out with, there's lots of questions here, so we're going to try and get ones that we've seen several times. One of the questions is, how do you cover ethics when discussing AI in the classroom?
Yeah, so I mean, again, I have not had a chance to really do that yet. The plan and the way that I address it individually with students is that, you know, AI, all of these tools are meant to help you. They're not meant to replace you. They're not meant to replace people. And if you were to take a prompt, take a response to an AI prompt and turn that in as if it's your own, you know, it's kind of like the ethical thing to do is to utilize that as a starting point and to create something that is essentially the creation of your own. And honestly, that's as far as I'm going right now. That, like, you shouldn't be using the first response to your prompt. And that I understand that even if you make a couple small tweaks, that doesn't really count as changing it. You think about plagiarism, and academic honesty and integrity. Honestly, people think about that as like, oh no, you need to start with a blank piece of paper. But I mean, if I think about even in my time, you know, I always look to, even, you know, when it comes to creating these assignments, you know, I've looked for digital marketing campaigns that have succeeded as a jumping off point. It was like, all right, how can I use this now and ask questions about it in the class. How can I use these campaigns and really build on top of them to create something for my own business? And so it really just becomes like, hey, the ethical thing here is utilize it to help you get started, and then formulate your own response. If you end up using something that it spits out at you for the first time, generally I'm going to at least be able to see parts of what's missing. And I'll try to, catch them. But in reality, I'm trying to embrace it more than anything else. Use it with the goal of not replacing all of your work, of what you're supposed to do, but have it help you instead.
Great. I have a question from Don. He asked, how can changing to asynchronous education keep students engaged?
Oh, a great question. I am largely asynchronous right now. I don't have any in-person classes this semester. And where it starts is really with the consistent reminders to students of what's going on in the world. Assuming that most instructors here are teaching something related to marketing. I'm hoping something related to business. There's always no shortage of news that's coming out, timely and relevant content that exists. What I try to do in terms of keeping students engaged in asynchronous courses is showing that new content and sharing it with them, and trying to get them to look and search for their own content and share it with the class and their thoughts and on what's going on. And a great example for me was the Super Bowl. Rihanna, of course, was the halftime performer. It was like the talk of the town, more so than the game. Everybody was talking about halftime. And so after the Super Bowl ended, I went home. I hopped on to one of my classes' Canvas sites, and I immediately sent a message saying, hey, for this week, because, the academic week starts Monday. It's like Sunday at midnight. Hey, here's some news and updates from the past week. Rihanna is breaking the internet with her halftime performance while pregnant. There's all these other things like a huge thing that I like to talk about was how half the world hated the performance, the other half loved it. Like, what's going on? What's the discussion? And that way I am at least engaging them and trying to interact with them on the current events that they're undoubtedly already talking about with people. Maybe not talking, but at least texting and seeing on social media themselves. So while it may not increase their time on the asynchronous course, it's at least getting them, it's at least showing them that elements of this course are in your daily lives, and that when they do go see a tweet about the Rihanna performance, then the last thing they probably thought about was how I sent them an email about it. And so I try to stay in the front of their minds by connecting with them on the course material that can relate to those timely and relevant updates.
That's great. Thanks, Nick. This is a question from Vincent. Are you okay with the student turning in what a machine generates and passing it off as their work? Or what was the goal of the assignment that you discussed?
So for me, I guess to answer that second part, the goal of the assignment I discussed was how do you capitalize on and monetize a podcast that goes viral? First off, ChatGPT, for example, writes in first/second person. So it says, the first response I got in that answer was, congrats on your successful podcast. Obviously, they're not, if they turn that in, that's the first red flag if they're talking to me. But then the way I look at it is my assignments are going to be two-parters, and they require opinions. And so if a student goes through and actually just turns in what an AI program is going to give them, there's about a 90% chance that it's not going to be of the quality that's required for full points, and I'm going to dock them points. I'm not going to turn them in. I'm not going to turn students in or anything. I mean, these students are trying to learn how to utilize. They're as much as that we may think that they're out to cut corners as much as they can. They're also learning this technology at the same rate. Now, I have seen some assignments that I know went through through either ChatGPT or something else. But I could also tell that there were certain elements that the student had to have put in themselves, where I am looking for very, very specific things that go back to earlier parts of the course. And yeah, maybe they threw those parts into the prompt, but the fact of the matter is, as they learn how to write these prompts and they're making them more specific to ChatGPT, they're also learning about the class and the topic at hand. And so I'm okay with it. I just am not, I'm going to know when somebody just lazily puts in the assignment and takes what ChatGPT spits out. Those are very easy to spot, and it's very easy to dock them plenty of points. Those are also the students that are generally not performing at the level that you would expect or that you'd like. And so, yeah, I guess at the most extreme level, if I see that more than once, I'm going to reach out to the student at least and try to have a conversation with them and see what's going on. But for the most part, I mean, if a student's going to put something through AI, it's going to probably require multiple prompts, and they're going to need to provide the AI with more concepts from the class, and they're going to have to teach AI more about what they're trying to learn themselves.
Great. So I'm going to piggyback on that one a little and try and rephrase this question. When you're talking about repurposing content, the thought is, if everyone starts doing that, how do you differentiate yourself from everyone else who's already doing that?
Oh, that's a great question. The way that, and I can picture what you're thinking, what people are probably thinking. Like, there are AI video creators now where I can put a script into an AI generator and it will spit out a person reading my script. It'll give me a person not only reading the script for me, but it could like do all these other things. Hey, put an image of a chart in the background. Like, we're almost at the point where that content marketing video that you played earlier could have been generated by AI. I was I was about to make that joke at the beginning of the webinar, but I decided to save it for the end. Now, but also I recognize the people in the video, so I know it's not. I saw Millie looking at the wall there. I know who's in there. But honestly, the way to differentiate yourself is to make it as personal and as individually about you. That sounds selfish, but you want to put as much of your influence personally as possible. The reason that TikTok so far has been so successful is because of the authentic, personalized nature of the videos. Like, you see people just standing there with their phones like, here's how you do this. Where I'm going to trust that because it's somebody that I know. It's not a super overly produced business corporate video. It's something that's very authentic, and it's speaking to me one-to-one. That type of content is never going to be, well, I will never say never. Right now, that content can't be replicated. And even if it can down the line, like, AI is not going to be able to duplicate and replicate the little intricacies of your personality, of the way that you talk, the things that you say. I could probably take a transcript from this webinar and see, how close can I get it to the real thing? And I'm guessing it's going to get maybe halfway there. It might look weird. It might look terrifying. And, if you ask AI to generate photos, like, there's this one viral photo out there where there's like people with like 100 teeth. It's kind of like a dystopian world, really. But anyways, it's something that, as long as you are more personalized with what it is that you're creating, and you are giving AI really like your perspective, and you want it to say what you want it to say, and you're going in afterwards and you're editing it and updating it for what you want, that's really where you can set yourself apart. Because you're right, the more that people use AI to repurpose content, the more bland it's going to get, and the more just generic it's going to get. We see that already with websites. Lots of websites are very generic and just kind of look the same. It's when you have that personal touch to it that really sets it apart. Sets apart a website, sets apart a video, sets apart a blog post. And the more unique that you can be, and the more authentic you can be, the more you're going to be able to create value and connect with the people that are consuming your content.
Awesome. Well, I have two quick questions before we wrap up today. The first one is, it was asked, Nick, will you have a job as an instructor in digital marketing in the future?
Will I? I mean, I know I have a job for now, at least for the next 12 months. So I would like to keep doing that. Hopefully that's not somebody I know who's like trying to troll me. But yes.
All right. Nick, one last question. You've spoken and you referred to in your presentation about Marketing ProfCon event. And in the past years, we've loved having you at these events. Can you tell us what one of your favorite things is about ProfCon, why you think marketing professors should join us at this event this summer?
Yeah, even though I'm not speaking myself at ProfCon, I can say the sessions are some, these sessions are very interesting because we all as instructors, we're all at a point where it's like, okay, you're not going to teach me anything new. I'm the instructor. But the inspiration that you can get out of these things, the way that these sessions get your mind thinking about new ideas is really second to none. It's kind of like, to connect it to the whole AI thing, it does get the creative juices going, where you might see what a professor did at another school and had some success with, but then you're never going to be, and you're like, I can't replicate that. But you might be able to take bits and pieces, put that into the framework of your course, and then create something entirely new and something magical for students that they haven't seen in the past. For me, I try to work out of a course template, and I make updates every single semester out of that because it's digital marketing. Everything changes all the time. But I will say I went to the last virtual ProfCon. This is an in-person one I know coming up, but the last virtual one, I think I attended like 3 sessions, and all 3 had tangible outcomes that I then implemented into my classes for the fall or right now that I would have never had before. And the early returns from students are that, hey, these are really cool. This is nice. It's a different type of environment, and it allows me to really see what else is out there. I mean, all of you that are attending here, I mean, the fact that you're here means that you're on the cutting edge of being an instructor at some form, and at some level. And so being able to bounce ideas off of each other and really see what's worked and what hasn't worked really just helps us all as instructors in the future. Because as the person before asked, if me teaching digital marketing, it's my favorite thing to do. That's not something that I would let AI take over. And it's not something that AI will be able to, as long as we're providing those very customized, individualized, and personalized experiences for students.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick. If you are a marketing professor, I want to encourage you to click on the link that's popped up on your page. Marketing ProfCon is an amazing conference that will be held this summer, June 14th through 16th, here in Idaho Falls, Idaho. Great event for marketing professors. There will also be great networking opportunities at this event. So go ahead and get the details. I believe there's still some discounts available through spring break. So if you want to hear other presenters like Nick, go ahead and click on that link. Some of you have asked, and I didn't address these questions, but we will be sending out a recording of this event, and we will give you access to the slide presentation that Nick shared. So some of you had questions about specific things that were on the slides. That will be available to you. Look for an email coming for that in the next day or so. I want to thank Nick so much for joining us today. This was an amazing topic and an amazing presentation. People have enjoyed it. The chats have been blowing up. It's been amazing. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for helping all of us to stay current in this topic. And everyone, have a great day. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.
Thank you.